Hello, my name is Attorney Paul Chang, and this is another segment of Ask the Attorney. I'm excited for you because today you're really going to learn something that I think is going to save you thousands and thousands of dollars. It doesn't matter whether you're a corporate client or an individual defendant, but if you get sued, this is absolutely what you need to do. If you implement any one of these ideas, it will tremendously help you in your litigation. Before we begin, I need you to go to the first clip, which talks about our disclaimer, which says that this does not create an attorney-client relationship. When you get sued, do these three things. If you do them, they're going to help you quite a bit. First of all, get organized. I know it seems like a very funny thing. What's the point of getting organized? Well, I can be able to tell you that we represent some really large corporations. And when that corporation gets sued or we're brought into a lawsuit, I look at the documentation and they're everywhere, scattered, sometimes boxes and boxes of documentation that are not organized. I always say this to people: attorneys know the law, you know the facts. So it's necessary for you to organize the facts for us, because the reality is many of the organization is very secretarial. It can be done by anybody. But the reality is, if you need to pay us $300, $350 an hour to do what you can be able to do and what you're good at, which is the understanding of the facts, it really is just a waste of money. And I think that in litigation, you need to spend money where money is well spent. And that is to help the attorneys be able to understand the case and be able to effectuate the attorney's interest by you getting organized. How do you get organized? Right behind me, I have a way that you can be able to organize documentation very easily for attorneys. If you can't be able to do it on an Excel spreadsheet, just write it on a piece of paper. On the piece of paper, you're going to organize all of your documentation into 5 categories. What you're going to do is you're going to have exhibit number, date, name of document, summary of document, and this document shows. Let me give you an example. Document number 1 that you give to your attorney, the date of the document is 01/02/08. The name of the document is Letter to Employee. This is an employment dispute. The summary of it is that you're going to tell the employee no porn at work. Okay, that's the summary. You wrote a letter to the you wrote a letter to the employee to say, look, you can't look at bad things on the internet while you're at work. And this document shows that you gave the employee notice before termination. Why are you able to do this? You're able to do this because you know the facts. You immediately look at that piece of paper and you immediately know what it's about. Well, for an attorney that is unfamiliar with your case, looking at the letter, it could take them 5, 10, 15 minutes. Some attorneys maybe even charge for an hour of time just to read a letter, when all you had to do was be able to do this for the attorney. And the great thing is, when we tell clients to do this, it's very easy for us because we know the law, they know the facts, they've already organized it for us. We quickly look at the list that they provided for us and we can be able to pick and choose exactly what's important. The second point is this that I always tell clients: lost documents equals lost cases. Lost documents equals lost cases. There are tens of thousands of pages that are part of a lawsuit. And many times people don't understand that one piece of paper could make or break a lawsuit. And I've had clients come to me and say, I've been in other cases before, I went into court, I thought this was the most important document there, and the attorney didn't show it. And sometimes, obviously, maybe the attorney doesn't feel it's important. But I would also argue that sometimes the attorney either isn't familiar with the documentation, or maybe the attorney has misplaced it and was just afraid to tell the client. So my recommendation is this: just like we would like all law firms to be paperless, I recommend to scan, photocopy, and save into your computer everything that you give to your attorney, and tell your attorney, look, I have the documentation available. It's available for you. Anytime you need it, come and ask me for it. The great thing is this: if you're open to your attorney, if you don't get mad at your attorney when he asks you for documentation, you'll find that the attorney is more apt to ask you for documentation, not necessarily just when the documentation is misplaced, but just because an attorney may have 50 or 100 files, you only have one case, you only have one file. It's much quicker for you to go into your computer, pop the document off, and send it to the attorney. The third recommendation I have is this. I would like you to keep your attorney from lying to you. I know it sounds really funny, but attorneys necessarily must be salesmen in their own right before a client comes in. You know, one time we had a contingent over from China and we were taking care of them, and one of the questions that they asked was this: how many attorneys are actually practicing in California? And we called the state bar, and there were 160,000 attorneys practicing in California. 160,000 attorneys. And the person from China said, that's amazing. In China, in the whole entire country, there's only 130,000. So it really goes to show you that in California, as well as many other states, there are a glut of attorneys. There are more attorneys than really, some people would say, than customers, than clients. So what ends up happening is attorneys have a tendency to maybe puff, to maybe sell a little more than they need to. So what I'm going to teach you is to keep your attorney from doing that to you. Many times I find what clients end up doing is they open up the Yellow Pages, or they go to the internet, they look for an attorney, and they randomly call 15 or 20 attorneys. Well, what ends up happening is you get 15 or 20 different answers. So my recommendation to you is this when you're looking for an attorney. Take all the attorneys that you really want to work with, put them on a list. And what you're going to do is this. On 3 pieces of paper, this is what you're going to do. On page number 1, you're going to talk about what happened. On page number 2, you're going to talk about what you want. And on page number 3, you're going to put arguments that the other side is going to say about what you want and what happened. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fax, email, or mail it to the attorney or attorneys that you want to work with. The attorneys are going to do one of 3 things when they see your piece of paper. Some attorneys are going to look at your summary and they're going to throw it away. They're going to be like, I'm not interested, we're going to throw them away. That's exactly what you want. If the attorney's not interested in your case, or if the attorney's not specialized in your case, that's great. The second thing the second thing that's going to happen is the attorney's going to look at it and refer it to somebody that they know is a specialist in the field. Why would they do that? Well, they would do that because of the fact that cross-referral creates business on both ends. So that's a great situation for you. Because of the fact that the attorney that you send it to may not be specialized, they're going to refer it to somebody that is specialized. And the third thing that's going to happen is your attorney's going to look at it, your attorney's going to read it, your attorney's going to research it, and then get in contact with you, and you have gotten exactly what you needed, which is competent, specialized legal advice for an attorney to be able to work with you. Thanks a lot. Look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Bye-bye.